Whites committed slavery, blacks committed slavery.
No way.
Of course. And there's still countries in South Africa. Look at in Africa, Mali, that still practice slavery today. And you know what? The African Union does nothing about it. It's a disgraceful thing.
Welcome to Mali, a nation rich in culture and history, known for its legendary city of Timbuktu and vibrant musical heritage. Yet, beneath this beauty lies a persistent and troubling issue: modern slavery. Slavery in Mali dates back centuries, deeply embedded in its social fabric. Historically, various ethnic groups, including the Tuareg, Mande, and Fula, practiced forms of servitude. The trans-Saharan slave trade further entrenched these practices, with slaves being a significant part of the economy. Although French colonial authorities formally abolished slavery in 1905, traditional patterns of servitude persisted. Many slaves remained with their masters, and in much of the country, slavery continued more or less unimpeded. Today, despite legal prohibitions, forms of hereditary slavery continue, particularly in remote regions. Modern slavery in Mali manifests in various forms. Descent-based slavery. Individuals born into slave castes are subjected to exploitation by noble families. They face discrimination, are denied basic rights, and are often forced into labor without compensation. Forced labor. Men and boys, primarily of Songhai ethnicity, are subjected to debt bondage in the salt mines of Taudeni in northern Mali. Additionally, children are forced into labor in gold mines and agricultural settings. Human trafficking. Mali serves as a source, transit, and destination country for men, women, and children subjected to trafficking, specifically forced labor, and, to a lesser extent, forced prostitution. These practices persist due to deeply rooted cultural norms, economic hardships, and limited government intervention. In recent years, there have been significant developments. Legal actions. In November 2024, the International Criminal Court sentenced Al-Hassan Ag Abdul Aziz Ag Mohammed Ag Mahmoud, a former police chief linked to Al-Qaeda, to 10 years in prison for war crimes and crimes against humanity in Mali. He was convicted of torture, religious persecution, and other severe acts during the extremist rebellion in Timbuktu in 2012. Activism. Organizations like Temet and Gambana are actively combating descent-based slavery, advocating for victims, and raising awareness. Their efforts have led to increased visibility of the issue, though challenges remain. Despite these efforts, the Malian government has been criticized for its inadequate response, with reports indicating a lack of specific legislation criminalizing all forms of trafficking and traditional slavery. To understand the human impact, consider the story of a young boy from the Kayes region. Born into a slave caste, he was denied education and forced into labor from a young age. When he attempted to assert his rights, he faced violence and ostracization. With the help of activists, he escaped and now advocates for others trapped in similar circumstances. Such stories are not isolated incidents, but reflect a systemic issue affecting thousands. Addressing modern slavery in Mali requires a multifaceted approach. Legislative reform. Implementing and enforcing laws that criminalize all forms of slavery and human trafficking. Education. Raising awareness to challenge and change deep-seated cultural norms that perpetuate these practices. Economic development. Providing alternative livelihoods to reduce vulnerability to exploitation. Other support services are offering rehabilitation and reintegration programs for survivors. International organizations, local NGOs, and the Malian government must collaborate to eradicate these inhumane practices. So, in summary, nutshellers, modern slavery in Mali is a complex issue rooted in history and tradition. While progress has been made, much work remains to ensure freedom and dignity for all Malians. By shedding light on these practices and supporting efforts to end them, we can contribute to a future where slavery is truly a relic of the past.